Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody had a great Veterans Day yesterday. And if you did have to work, hopefully you're able to get that day back as a comp day. Um, so this morning's continuation training will be regarding our newest upcoming flight attendant app. So Sergeant McKinney is going to take us through exactly what it is, what it's going to be used for, how it'll help us, and then, of course, where it's at in the development stage. So if you guys have any questions, you can post them here in the chat along the way, and I'll just, stop him to ask those questions to make sure we all have a good understanding of it for when it does come online. So without further ado, Sergeant McKinney.
Thank you, Sergeant Wilson. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. I'm Sergeant McKinney. Over the last November, Master Sergeant Maria Morris up at AMC acquired $1 million, and not easily, and reached out to all of the the BIPSAM community and said, "Hey guys, let's get an app." So a year ago, we started this process. We had a development team, a software development team, come in from actually Robins Air Force Base. They're contractors for the government, and they started asking us, what do we want? What do we need? How can we take technology and apply it to what you guys do? So over the course of about 2 weeks, we ran through our job. We gave them on tours, walked around the kitchen, and talked about everything that we as flight attendants, what we do. And we came up with the Flight Attendant Mission Management System. Whoops, click on the screen here. So what this system is going to help you do is everything on your day-to-day duties from the start of the mission until the end. It includes your mission and meal planning, shopping for ingredients, meal preparation, form preparation and submission, and communication between flight attendants and the squadron. So this is going to be CAC enabled for some of it. The other portion of it will be able to get loaded. This app will live on your EFB. This isn't another app that you're going to have to download on your phone. So it'll live on the EFB, and you'll actually start using your EFBs a lot more. So the purpose was to provide the right data to the right users, automate the selection of meals and service for visitors, and improve pre-mission execution and post-mission efficiency. And then the cloud part of that is where this thing is going to live out on the cloud. So it's going to make updates and communication far more effective than it has been. And as we're going through this, there's a couple of slides like this where it's a little bit, everything else from there on is going to be pictures. So whenever you have questions, please just raise your hand or comment in the Jitsi, those I can see. And then if you have anything on YouTube, Southern Connecticut, if you just see anything on there, just let me know, and I'll try and answer those questions. But again, as we go through, please feel free to ask questions. All right, so first year, what were we looking to accomplish? Well, it's the first thing we had to do was look at where do we start with everything. And the QMI has been almost kind of the start with our recipes, the ingredients, and then going into building missions and shopping lists, game plans, and so on. So the recipe management has been the bulk of it right now. Configuring the system so that we can have ingredients, and then those ingredients go into recipes that are built. And then those recipes can be built and seen by the customer. So the contacts will be able to look at this, make their selections like they do, and then it'll get sent over to you, and those recipes will then be populated based off of their selections. And then from that, those recipes and will have the ingredients built in, and then shopping lists will also be generated from that. Now on the back end, what's going to happen here is we'll have essentially FA support will take care of the initial administrative functions like creating recipes, adding, subtracting ingredients, and everything else. We're pulling the ingredients from the FDA the Food and Drug Administration. They have a database of well over 300,000 ingredients. We're trying to cut that down because they literally have ingredients that has nutritional value for everything, for Wendy's, McDonald's, baby food, you name it. So the things that we don't need. So we're trying to get through that database and cut it down so that on the back end, when we have our FA support building these recipes, it's not too labor intensive. Let's see, the mission management part, ability to create, edit, and delete missions. So this is another part we're going to have to figure out in unit, talking with, the flight attendants and scheduling and everything else. Initially, we were wanting to get Abby Source to just directly dump missions into this app. That's possible, but it comes at a high cost. And it would have taken up a lot of other things that we wanted this app to do initially. So currently, we have to pre-build the mission by hand. We have to hand jam it. It's not going to talk directly to Abby Source just yet, but we're looking at year 2 for that ability. Meal management. So the aspects assigning the meals to the mission and generating suggested meals, and then sending the invitation to visiting guests. And by visiting guests, we mean our contacts for selection, and then so on. Game plans. Those are going to be the display and printing of mission game plans. So again, these are objectives that are coming online right now in the app. Mission data support, so cloud-backed support for the mission management. We've got Cloud One is the military cloud that we're using. It's huge hurdles, by the way, to get a lot of some of this going on the back end, as far as security and everything else goes, and all the paperwork that's involved in trying to not just build the app, but then get it integrated into the Air Force cloud systems and then onto AFNet as well. So luckily, Sergeant Morris has fielded a lot of that. So I don't have too much purview, but I can tell you it's been a huge undertaking. Shopping list, that's coming online. And then applications, so creating users and setting up their permissions. And that's something that here in the next, I'd say, month, we're going to get what they call an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. So it's just like phase 1, first version of what this is going to look like. And we're going to do essentially like a beta test on it, where we build people into it. And then we start toying around with permissions, restrictions, and authorizations to see like who should have permission to change what. Because right now, just like the QMI, FA support keeps a tight rein on it, just so that nothing goes, awry or, anything changes and then confuses people. So we're going to be working on that here in the next month. Year 2. All right, so here's some of the big ones. Priority number 1 for year 2 is pulling data from Abby Source or G2. It's something that's doable, but it takes a lot of work. So if you look at the priority was set to medium for year 2, but the difficulty is at a 21, and that's just the amount of time that it's going to take. And that's just, again, like talking, because our developers have to talk to the Abby Source developers, and they've got to go from there. And then a lot of funky computer stuff happens. The POC meal selection. So this is the contact part, right? Generating the email that we currently have based off of the mission that you build. So that's, again, something else. We want that. And then you can just go and look from there on. Getting checklist form selection, the .text to checklist uploading, the 4085 digital signatures. So you can do all of your forms will be, again, on your EFB. The goal of this entire program is to eliminate all paper. There is to be, we're trying to get rid of all the documents that you would normally carry around and have to sign. Like, we want to be able for you to use that, take that EFB, walk it over to the contact, say, here you go, sign it. An email copy is going to you now. Like, that's our end state, right? So, but it's going to take us, another 2 to 3 years to get there. Let's see, mobile form for checklists to print. So to be able to print your checklists out, like your fleet checklists, so you can print those just via the EFB straight to like a Bluetooth printer. Checklist assigned. So again, like some of this other stuff is just other little tiny things, little nuances. The dashboard, that's a huge one. That one I think we've already achieved, but I think that was it's a secondary dashboard, and I'll elaborate that on one of the other slides. But they labeled it as dashboard. We were talking about like our fleet board that we have in the kitchen. We want to have that virtually. So as things are happening, say as you're updating fleet checklists after missions, this dashboard or fleet whiteboard will update as well. So you won't have to go, or you don't have to remember to go and sign these things. And then assigning lists to other FAs. This is another one that's a low priority. You'll see some of the other lower priority ones now towards the bottoms is email notifications, copies, receipts. But if you have any questions about those, let me know. All right. Okay. So here's the actual dashboard of the app. So this is what it's potentially going to look like. I want you all to remember, like, as we're going through this, we continue to change things around. And we haven't even done the first beta test yet. So this is just kind of like the framework for how things are going to kind of look. So here, what you're looking at is you're looking at missions. And this is almost like looking at a SOC board, but it's more tailored to just FAs. So here you'll see, instead of, the typical mission numbers, you've got, is there a slideshow?
Yeah, you may have to, Ramsey, go exit out and come back in to see it. Sometimes
we're in the slideshow now. Yeah, we're in it. It's
try that, Ramsey.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny. So what you're looking at is missions, and now it's got the status of the missions. So they're either in the execution phase, which you're out on the road, you're in the prep phase, it's tentative, confirmed, and so on. And then if you look at everything else is pretty self-explanatory. We're playing around with a lot of different things. Like some of the toggles at the bottom, those will change based off of the status of the mission, right? So you see a tentative in the middle one there. There's a tentative status mission with the first FA is Luke. And there at the bottom, you see edit mission, because you don't need a game plan or checklist access at the moment. And then if you look at one of the mission to the left of that in the prep status, you've got message the POC or go to the shopping list. So those are things the first FA and other FAs will be able to go into. And then on the right-hand side, where it says JM, Justin McDaniel, that'll be your profile. That'll be kind of like, you'll have your own profile to log into the system and kind of check on things or manipulate things. Over on the left, you'll see that there's the dashboard, missions, recipe book, ingredients, a toolbox, and just management. So those are other toggles that we're kind of playing around with, things that we think that you might want to have access to on a day-to-day. All right, we'll go to the next one. This slide just shows you the ability to enter your user profile and stuff like that.
Hey, Sermon, can you have a question?
Fire away.
This is Certain Tramakis. So if you could go back to the last slide. And remember, we had talked about this when I was on the team. I guess this is a question for you and then just a question for everyone. We were talking about making the dashboard color-coded for the various missions based on the status. So like a tentative mission would be one color, confirmed would be another color, just like it is on
Stand
Box.
by, ma'am. I've got the answer for you for that coming up here in just a few more slides.
There you go.
Let's see. Thank you though. Good question. And again, like this was, and that just attests to like how quickly things change. This slide here was from about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So I'm getting ready to show you here in just a couple of slides what we've kind of changed it up to maybe look like. Here's an ingredients list. This is just going to be like a general master ingredients list. This isn't something that most FAs will look at. This is usually just for those, like I said earlier, on the back end, the admin team. But you'll have everything in there, and we can manipulate the serving sizes, the units, the brands. I believe we're also adding where you can purchase these items, as in like what store. And I might have an update on that as we go through. There's so many different nuances and variations. I honestly I can't keep track of all of them. But it's fun to see it all come together. And we have a meeting every 2 weeks with a group of SMEs, flight attendant SMEs from across the Air Force. And we dive into this with the developers and just work out the color, the shape, it's mind numbing how many things they have questions about. That ingredients list populates from the FDA database that we pull. And we're using that FDA database because that database provides us with nutritional value. And that's where you're seeing right now. We can manipulate basically everything on the admin side. So if there's things that aren't quite correct or something that doesn't apply to what we do, we can change some of that. But we'll be able to actually show the nutritional value for those that, are super interested in those items. Let's see here. This is the recipes. So this is what some of the recipes are going to potentially look like. You'll have the up there, you'll see the 300 by 345. That's going to be just a picture with the description of what it is. And then we've decided to add difficulty ratings for training and students, just to kind of like have an understanding of. We're going to assign difficulty ratings to some of these so that you kind of know ahead of time, hey, if this is a very easy meal, I just really need to kind of look things over, be familiar. But some of the harder meals, even the most experienced instructors, you're probably going to want to take some time to review what's going on there. Look at all the instructions and the details and make sure everything's good to go. Let's see, we'll have the kitchen steps, the in-flight steps, and then any notes associated with that. Those are on the slide or to the right-hand side there. This is on the right-hand side. By the way, this will be as you scroll down. So the left hand, just look at that as one screen. And then on the right, that's as you scroll down to review it. This is to build. This is just them showing us building. So on your left, again, this is just you'll enter the information. Then you'll see step 2 with the ingredients. Step 3 is adding the actual steps, and then any other details. Okay. All right. Now, this is what Sergeant Tremakis was talking about. I apologize for the fuzziness of the next dozen screenshots. It's going to be a little bit because I literally had to get these screenshots from watching a videos team taking screenshots and then putting it into the PowerPoint. So, but this is just an overview of missions now. This is how much it's changed in just a few weeks. You've got the status of the mission, takeoff date and time, mission call sign, who the first FA is, aircraft type, contact, and the mission type. And then from here, you can do quite a few things. You can change the status of it. You can delete it entirely. You can say that it's canceled. If it's in a tentative state and you cancel it, it'll just go into the archive. So there'll be an archive for a while. And after about 30 to 60 days, it'll just permanently drop it. Because there are instances, right, where a tentative mission can cancel and then come back up. So we wanted that ability to go back in and bring it back out and put it active again. Confirm missions you can cancel as well, but you'll have to input a reason as to why it's being canceled. Okay, this is as you go in and look at it specifically. Here's some of the details that you can add and play around with. DV likes and dislikes are in there. If you look at the top now, this will tell you, this is where you can add personnel, manipulate the legs, the meals, and add any special requests. let's see. So here they went into personnel, and we decided to add an agency contact and onboard contact. Though those may be the same person, sometimes they aren't, right? Let's see. Under flight attendants, you'll be able to add all of your flight attendants. And then the first FA information will all be at the top there. Here's where it's breaking into the legs. So each leg, you can go in and manipulate the information. You have the airfield codes that you can enter. So those have all been built in. And then times are going to be located up here. I don't know if you can see my little arrow or not. On the right-hand time, and that's the takeoff date and time. And then there's it'll show you local time as well. You can have certain times added. And then you can add your flight times and ground times in, and then duty day as well. And again, this is what's going to be great once we get AviSource plugged in, and AviSource will be able to pull all this data for you. And then what you'll do is then you'll add the meals to the leg. And you'll probably have to update, because more often than not, the AviSource cuts they do not have PAX counts, or the PAX count's not always very accurate. So you'll be able to change these here, PAX and crew counts. Special requests, that's all pretty self-explanatory, beverages, snacks, all that. You'll be able to put all that in there. Here, this is just showing adding additional flight attendants to the mission. So you'll be able to go through and you'll be able to add whoever it is, and you'll be able to assign them as well. So your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, that'll all be there. And when that happens, that's also going to give them access to certain checklists that you're going to want them to have. Because, you know, we have checklists for each of those positions. So the point is for them to be like, okay, here's my checklist for this mission. What do I need to do? And this will also enable you, say you're on more than one mission, you'll be able to bounce back and forth, and you're on more than one mission and you're in different positions as well, if you're fully qualified. So you'll be able to see where you're at on different missions with different checklists, and hopefully better manage your time and everything else, and stay on track with each mission. This is going back in the leg. Here they added a second leg just to show what that looks like when you add another leg. And in the bottom, it lets you know that you haven't entered anything. The red lines indicate fields that haven't been filled in yet. Here's the meals. So whenever you go to meals, it'll say leg 1, meal 1. Now, right now, meal 1 is not expanded. So, because obviously if you have like 14, 15 legs, you don't want to have to scroll through screen after screen after screen if you're just looking to get to a specific leg. So these are collapsible and expandable. And you can go in and say leg 1, here's meal 1, here's meal 2. You can go in, review those, see what's going on. I'm looking at a question right now from Sergeant Tremakis. The interfly, we haven't got that far yet. I would say yes, we should be able to. What we'll probably have to do is we'll build them just like we would if someone was in processing at the moment. I don't know that we'll be able to pull them necessarily, because again, that's something, but with us having the cloud access, we may be able to just pull them like you would in DTS or something. She was asking, for FAs that are interflying with us and other units, will they be able to gain them since all FAs are in the FAM? And that's my answer is I want to say yes, but I haven't seen how that's going to work between units. And I don't know what that'll do. If I can't answer what will happen if you pull from one unit, and then how's that going to work for them pulling it back? Because then you're also talking about different checklists, different policies and procedures, and so on. Okay, so here we're going to dive into the shopping list. Now, what's going to be a little different is the way that we went about doing this is you can break down what you need for each leg, or you can say, if I have 10 meals or whatever that all need butter, then this will tell you how much butter you need, period, for the entire mission. And then after the fact, you can sort it back out into which legs need the butter. Or eggs. Say there's 4 legs that need eggs. You got 4 breakfast meals and you're cooking eggs. Well, it'll tell you, you can switch this up to just say, hey, just go to the commissary and buy 6 dozen eggs and you're good. You know, everyone doesn't need to shop for eggs. You know, you don't have to have 6 FAs or 4 FAs all buying eggs. And again, we wanted to be able to make this as interchangeable as possible for each unit, depending on how they want to shop. And obviously, like with certain missions, you need to be able to break out, you know, the cost per leg per meal. So you'll be able to do that as well. But for other missions where it's not as important, you can just be like, you know, go to this section, get these items, and you're going to cover everybody for the entire mission. There's also, you only see a few columns right now: total quantity, ingredients, brands, total purchase, and substitutions. Who's got something?
It may have just been an unmuted mic.
Okay. This is where it shows you, it's breaking down the quantities. It went from right here. It's opening up and expanding, like the egg part where there's 6, I'm guessing that's liters right now, 5 liters, and so forth. Okay, right now they're only using, it's kind of hard to envision some things because they're using rice and eggs. Keep in mind we're dealing with developers and they haven't let us in the system to really play with it yet. So this is what a shopping list, if printed out, is going to look like. And you'll be able to make your, if there's a substitution that has to happen, you'll be able to do that on your EFB over here on the right-hand side. Here we go. Here's where they went ahead and added some other columns. And this is something that you can, depending on what you want to see, each person can decide this. If you don't want to see comments, if you don't want to see crew, if you don't want to see packs, then this is based off the fact that you could have some people just shopping for packs, some people shopping for crew. But here they went ahead and said packs quantities, crew quantities, and then they added the purchased. So if you need 3, good to go. Here's a check mark. Oops. And then again, if you make substitutions, or if there's just additional comments, maybe they just didn't have it, you can add in your comments right there too. And something that will be part of this is while you guys are shopping and you're updating your EFB with what you're getting, the first FA, as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, this will be updating the first FA shopping list as well. So we're hoping to eliminate the sitting there and double checking, ingredients. That might be a hard thing to do, because a lot of us want to verify certain things. And as time goes on, we may not do that right out the gate. But if we find out that, hey, this is 100% reliable and the communication's working correctly, then we'll stop doing that. But it's something, again, we'll have to feel out as we go. Let's see. I don't know why I had this in here. That's just another kind of duplicate. I think another duplicate. Okay, so here's where it's showing some of the ingredients. This is very similar to what you've already seen. Not too much different. Let's see. Yeah, nothing too much to go in there. Okay, So this is just one of the, I wanted to show you guys this. This is the from the FDA. This is one of the Excel databases that you can go and pull this yourself. You go to the FDA website, and it lists just everything that there is. I mean, anything and everything that goes through the FDA, which anything that we consume here in the United States goes through the FDA, unless you're buying it from, mom and pop. So this is what we're looking at and trying to work with. But this was just to give you a little glimpse of what it is. This one document has over 24,000 entries. If you look on the left-hand side there at the bottom, you can see. And they just go into wheat bread, ingredients, sandwich, and there's so many different varieties of just wheat bread. And what's in that bread that, manipulates its nutritional value. And that's why it's such a large database. Okay, so this is some of the changes that have been made to the recipe to make it just a little nicer. They actually have a picture loaded up this time. So this is this is their rice and egg meal, and this is the recipe, and this is what it kind of looks like. Now, as we go into this, you'll see here in the kitchen instructions, we'll be able to add pictures to each of these steps if you want. And this is something where DOT and the instructor core can work with FA support to be like, hey, we want this, we want that. And we're going to need everyone's help when it comes time. FA support is going to need everyone's help for stuff like that. Because it's going to take a lot of time and patience to build a lot of these things and make it what it needs to be. So when it comes to taking pictures of the food or the steps that you're taking in the kitchen, it's good to take those photos and submit them and be like, hey, this would be a good step or a good picture for this step on the ingredients. I think this will be helpful for a student or for just anyone who hasn't made this meal. And here's where you can see that now. So make an egg. I mean, they didn't have pictures. So it's a picture of bread. Make rice. It's a green square at the moment. And then add pepper is the actual thing. But you can get the gist of it. And then if you look at the top, I can't scroll up to that, but this is what it was, the ingredients. It shows the ingredients for you. And then you can elaborate, of course, in steps 1, 2, and 3, what that step needs. What do you need to do in that step? Oh, okay, cool. Was that 20 minutes? Almost. It was almost a half hour.
Not bad.
I told you I could talk for days. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Wow, really? None?
I don't see anything on YouTube. Maybe
Man.
everybody's just digesting it right now.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. And I can speak kind of fast too sometimes. I've only had like 6 cups of coffee already.
Sergeant Marcus has her hand up.
Oh, go ahead. Fire away, ma'am.
So, Sarah McKinney, if people have like inputs or feedback later, do they just come to you for that, sir? If they're thinking of digesting it, or where can they go?
So you can definitely come to me. As this rolls out, I have Sergeant Abulu, Sergeant Stafford, and Airman Ludicky. They're all set up right now to get permissions and to start doing the beta test here in the next month. So, if there's anything that you saw in there that made you wonder, made you think, you can definitely kind of hit them up a little bit. They're just now seeing, what you're seeing, because they haven't been cued into all the bi-weekly meetings. But you can definitely send those questions to me, or you can also submit some information to those guys, so that when they start beta testing, they'll kind of have that on their mind or in their notes. So again, guys, it's taken over a year for us to get this far, and believe it or not, that's actually blazing fast, given the amount of red tape that we have to cut through. We've summed up about $1.5 million into this. We're going to be carried through already. This is going to come online. I can tell you that. This is something we're going to be using. And we're looking at everything, weight and balance, cargo, manifests, you name it. everything. But when we throw those things around, like manifest, now you're talking OPSEC, right? So we have to do the back end work on making sure everything's secure. We want to make sure that the itineraries, those again, OPSEC, making sure everything is secure in that regard. That's why we're using Air Force. Everything is Air Force network and approved and everything else. So that's what takes a lot of the time. But we're cutting through everything really quick. Again, we're looking at by January, we're hoping to start integrating you guys into the system and letting you play with it and make shopping lists and see how it works with Outlook and email and everything else. And then as we go, what can we start adding to this? Every year. It'll be every year. What can we change? What's not relevant? What's new? What can we add? So, but here in the next year or two, this will be online and running fast. And so I just wanted to kind of show you where we're at, all the work that's gone into it. And over the next week or two, if you saw something or you're curious about something, let me know. We record all of our meetings. So if you want to sit down and watch, some of these meetings are only maybe half hour, 45 minutes. If you want to get together and you want to see, what's happening live, so to speak, I'm more than willing to share. But yeah, that's it. So if no one's, that should give you guys a little bit of time.
I have some announcements, Sergeant McKinney, whenever you're done.
I'm done. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sergeant McKinney. We'll also be working as he gets more updates and the slides. We'll make sure that we get these on the box under our condition training slides. That way people can go back to review them at any point. But definitely take that opportunity if you see something or you want to attend one of those meetings to reach out to him so that you guys can start in that. Okay, so we'll quickly go around the room here. Just one thing from training to be on the lookout next Wednesday on the 18th of November. TIF is going to have their virtual town hall. If you haven't seen that posted in the IFTIF channel, 1AS FA channel, it's going to be at 1:00. So they want to go over their newest IFTIF check procedures, as well as cover other topics and go through the new people that are in their office. So just make sure that everybody attends that meeting as well. So we'll go really quickly. Ops, do you guys have anything? Sergeant Cook in here. No, readiness?
I hope everybody took time to use Sergeant Ansman's name tag updates for the new jackets that are supposed to be coming in. So that was for, if you didn't know, there's the OCP massive. I don't know how to say it. But the coats
massive.
Those coats are coming in here in about a week. And if you don't have the name tapes for them, you're not going to be able to wear it. And so the weather is going to start going to the other direction. So if you didn't get in there, try and plug back in there. But I think the last day was Tuesday for that. So if it's still up, maybe try and get in there and see if you can submit something. Other than that, I think that should be it for readiness. And Sergeant Ibulu, she submitted the new winter and fall menu. That's in the 1AS FA channel. So everyone should see that and have access to that now.
Awesome. Let me see. Ari, do you guys have anything? No. Sergeant Thompson for special projects.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to reach out because I'm actually working to redesign the 1658, our kitchen. And I want to make sure that, everyone is included. If you have any ideas of, right now I'm looking to expand our cold storage to actually have you be able to walk out of the cold storage directly to the loading dock. More prep space. If you think we need to have a in-floor scale so you can weigh stuff, you can just roll it on and weigh it. Any ideals would be greatly appreciated. I just got off a design team meeting and I'm excited to see if this actually rolls through and goes forward. But if there's any ideals that you guys have, if you can send me a email, last name is Thompson, first name Jeteria. You can also find me on Mattermost, send me a DM. Any information, suggestions, nothing is too small, especially with the ops tempo picking up. I talked to the schedulers yesterday and they said there was 7 missions leaving on the same day. So I know prep space is a big issue, but if there's any suggestions that you would like to see happen, because this will be your kitchen to work in, send me a message and let me know. Thank you.
Awesome. Improvements are always good. Let's see, before we wrap up with ops, super, make sure I didn't miss any of the other flights. Good. Okay, awesome. So Sergeant Tremakis for ops super.
Hey everyone, good morning again. And for those that don't know, I moved into the operations superintendent's office. Senior Master Sergeant Fitzgerald is still the lead ops soup. I'm just in there to help out with all the a million admin tasks and whatnot. So she couldn't be here today. She's in another meeting right now with transitions and Chief Starkey. But a couple of things to pass along. So if you are a tech sergeant or you supervise a tech sergeant, of course, the message we hear all the time, EPRs are now overdue. So if you have not turned those in, I just posted that in the EPR Mattermost channel. Please get those as soon as we can. The EFDP for tech sergeants, if you have not heard yet, is going to be 1 December, immediately the day after the SCOD ends. So that's when we're going to sit down with all the supervisors and the flight chiefs, those that are available, and discuss the EFDP and who will go where. Yeah, so 1 December, just for everyone's essay. Staff sergeants, please keep working on your EPRs. Your will be due here before you know it. And if anyone needs help, assistance with writing your EPR or anything like that, please do reach out to your supervisor, your flight chief. There's so many resources out there on how to improve bullets and whatnot. We want to make sure everyone gets it right. Sergeant Fitz, so she needs a POC to be an additional lead with Tech Sergeant Rosa with stair truck training. If anyone is interested in that, you can message either Sergeant Fitzgerald or myself, or even just training. We can, if you can stay behind, and Sergeant McKinney, we can discuss if you have any names with that. A general announcement for all across the Air Force: DDRP is starting back up as soon as possible. So DDRP, for those that are new, that means the drug testing flight. So drug testing, both random and assigned, will begin as soon as possible. And she wanted to say that PT testing resumes in January. Doesn't look like it's going to extend again as of right now, but as we know, things change pretty often. If you have not started, in your PT test improvement, please start that. I do know that even though the squadron is kind of closed down right now, the base gym is open. It is open by appointment only. So you just go to their website, or you can give them a call and they can send you the link to that. I've gone a couple times and there's been maybe like 5 people in there altogether. So if you're on the struggle bus, and I know the holidays is always a good time to pack on some pounds, but PT testing will begin at the beginning of the year. And last but not least, Sergeant Fitz wanted to pass on that she met with maintenance last week about the cleaning checklist, and we can remove about 3 items to include the oven on the cleaning checklist. She needs a POC to pass along the update for that cleaning checklist updates. Any names or knowledge out there? I'll just say, if Sergeant Wilson and Sergeant McKinney, if you guys could stay behind, and we'll talk about that one so we can get a name here pretty quickly. I can stay behind too if anyone has anything else for the ops soups, but that's all for right now.
Awesome, thank you. Also, awards index wanted to put some that fourth quarter and annual awards will be approaching really, really, really quickly. So if you or any of your subordinates are, a good fit for that, just start working the bullets now. Obviously, annual is much more bullets to pull, but it's EPR season, so a lot of that stuff should already be pretty much done for us. To make sure that you are recognizing those that have been putting in that work this quarter and also throughout the entire year, because with the holidays, that's a lesser amount of time that will be allowed for them to be due. And of course, like Sergeant Tremaka said, like, please do not wait to the last minute for EPRs, especially Staff Sergeant. I'm sure the date is going to be a lot sooner than they've been for techs and masters, just because there is that break in between. So just make sure you're jotting down bullets, sending them to your supervisor, getting them tweaked now before they're due. But if no one else has any questions, we'll stop the stream here, and then you guys can have great rest of your Thursday.
I'll say just real quick, regarding EPR feedback. So things I've seen, we have 52 tech sergeants, not in our squadron, that were processing EPRs, not 52 that are eligible, but 52 total, and that's a lot. I mean, that's a really big squadron. So I don't know exactly how many staff sergeant EPRs, but when we're talking about quality of bullets, some things I've already seen, just feedback wise, is one, if you are an NCO, especially if you are, say, like an instructor or an evaluator, make sure you're writing to the level that you're at. So for example, if you're an instructor, your flying bullets or an evaluator should be about instructing personnel or improving a project, or, what you're doing as an instructor. And if you're an evaluator, of course, what are you doing as an evaluator, and how does that relate to the overall health of our force? Because what we are seeing, and I know it's been a weird year, right? So, but I know as an instructor, you're definitely instructing people, is, say, we've seen it a couple of times where an instructor is saying, for example, flew 6-8 mission, cooked 300 meals, got coined. And that's really like a membership level, as an instructor or a higher level flyer, you should not be claiming missions like that, unless it was a very, very unique mission, right? Like the North Korea one a while back, or if you were involved in an in-flight emergency or something like that. Other than that, they know in our job that that's what we're supposed to be doing. And another thing that I see a lot is that people are not quantifying bullets correctly, and a lot of times you'll hear that feedback. So what does quantifying mean? For example, like if you're the NCOIC, you're a section chief or even a flight chief, quantifying meanings, excuse me, could be, I should have pulled an example. Say you're a scheduler, right? The bullet should not just say scheduler, impacted the mission, sat at the desk, something like that. Quantifying meanings like how many missions did you schedule, or how many missions overall did you impact? If you improved something, like improved a checklist, improved a process, the action impact result. So result meaning, did that reduce time? Did that increase efficiency, and how? Did you save time? What did you do, and how did it impact? And for offices that impact every single mission that goes out there, so RAs, FA support, the schedulers, kind of the list goes on. Not every office does impact every mission that goes out the door, but for those that do, make sure that you're quantifying that correctly and showing, right, the level of scope of your performance. So the total number of missions, the total number of sorties, and anyone that has certain rights in Avasor. So I would imagine definitely the schedulers. I always get it from Tech Sergeant Joey Wright. You can pull that data of all the total number of missions, number of aircraft, so like including those numbers is important, because when you're going up to, for Tech Sergeants, when you're going up to the Master Sergeant board, showing the level of scope of your efforts is important. Or if you do the budgets, right, for the RAs, don't just say do the budgets, but how many on the team did you lead? What's that budget monetary amount. Or for like Sergeant Thompson, right? She does some amazing things in special projects. How many agencies is she working with? How many checklists is she creating? You know, what's the total number of budget of the projects? Including all those amounts are really important. So most of the time, I'm just seeing people kind of underplaying the performance that they do, and because they're not quantifying correctly. So start kind of digging around and seeing, especially if your office and your duties touches every mission that goes out there, including that data is really important, because we do some amazing work. And I posted it a few months ago, and it's pinned on the 1AS FA channel. And if you want to show a new way of writing bullets, not just that, hey, I cooked 400 meals. And for our newer folks, they may not know that it's out there. I put an equation to show not just number of meals, but number of cargo, right? And cargo can be anything: the weight of the meal, the weight of all the fleet that we put on, the weight of bags, the weight of like all this stuff. Because one thing I've seen in the past, and I sat down with chiefs at my last base, and they kept telling me, non-flight attendant chiefs, and at the boards, you're usually going to have a non-flight attendant, right, that's looking at our stuff. And so you want to write it not so specific to flight attendants or whatever your duties are. You want to write it so that anyone reading it can understand, you know, the action, impact, and result. And so what they said is that it's too specific. When they see 300 meals, right, or whatever it is, 100, 400, 500, one, they say, well, you know, that's our job. But two, they can't really conceptualize all that goes into it. And so I sat down with the chiefs, and we came up with something that most people can understand: weight. Like, what is the weight of something? And our cargo, you know, again, it captures equipment, meals, bags, all these things. And so we came up with an equation, which that equation is on, again, our 1AS FA Mattermost channel. You can take a look. And the good thing about it is it's not an exact science, but you can plug in and say, hey, if I knew I did these 400 meals, what would be the estimated weight of that? I call it an educated guess, right? Educated as in, it's not, you know, 1.2 thousand, but it could say like 1,000, and it would be more or less accurate. And it's a way of writing a bullet so people outside the FA community can look at it and be like, okay, that makes sense. You don't have to use it though, but just another way of capturing the amazing work that we do as flight attendants. So if anyone has questions on bullet writing, I'm kind of a nerd in that way. I enjoy it. And I enjoy helping other people write better. So if you have any questions, you can stay behind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that. And if no one else has anything else, that will do it for today's continuation training. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.